Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome today to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very happy to have the association of His Grace Gaurachandra Gopinath Prabhu. He will be sharing Srila Prabhupada Lilamritha, Chapter 27, India Revisited Part 1. Yes, Prabhuji, please start.
I pay humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas, assembled Vaishnavas at the lotus feet, seeking their blessing. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaturunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamajnam Tarati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sadhana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sajitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamcha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshadarine Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Prakayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratiche Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vaye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt. Your voice is breaking a little bit. Can you please, is it possible to recheck something? Can you speak again?
Prabhu, is it much better now?
Yeah, seems to be better. Yes, Prabhu. Like earlier when I just there is some bass, like some kind of a bass sound. I mean, it's not perfectly clear.
Still you are having issues, Prabhu.
Okay.
Prabhu, are you having still issues?
Better, Prabhu. I think we'll continue. We'll see if it is causing some disturbance because some devotees have also said in the chat window to me directly. So we'll continue for
Okay.
now.
No, let's check. Otherwise, I will change the headphone.
Okay, Prabhu.
Is it better now, Prabhu?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. This is better than the previous.
Okay. Hare Krishna, once again, my humble obeisances to all the devotees. Today we are going to read from chapter 27, India Revisited, part 1. Just to give you a recap of the last session, those who are not attended. So this was Prabhupada was sick, he was not well, so he was trying to depart to India. So he was staying in the San Francisco Stinson Beach. That's where they have taken Prabhupada for his recovery. Prabhupada was staying with his servants there, trying to take refuge himself. Then that's the time the devotees have started doing the first Ratha Yatra in San Francisco, which was a big successful thing. Then Prabhupada writes to Sumati Maharaji that he wants a free passage for his disciple and him because he wants to bring some of his disciples to India to train them. So he empathetically writes to Sumati Maharaji. But she replies back saying that she will only give passage for Prabhupada. At the time, she cannot give free passage for his disciple. Then Prabhupada writes later saying that it's okay now, but later my mission will be fulfilled unless you give a passage for my students as well. That's a request he writes. During in that stay in San Francisco, Prabhupada had a big dream that he wants to create an American house in Vrindavan, which means that he wants to have a place where the foreign devotees can come in Vrindavan, study the scriptures, learn the Sanskrit, and go back to Western world to preach. So he, at given point of time, he wants 4 or 5 devotees to study and many devotees to come to this American house in Vrindavan because he thought Vrindavan is a place where the devotees can learn. And like that, the plan was he was having a big dream when he goes to Vrindavan, he wants to create this American house. Then Prabhupada also plays a piano, which was surprises the devotees because Prabhupada used to play always harmonium in the place where he was staying, the Stinson Beach, the room where there was a piano, and also there was a photo of Lord Nrsimhadev, which Mataji has hidden it because thinking that so ghastly. Then Prabhupada explained how Nrsimhadev is merciful to the devotees. And after that, there was the things going on in the devotee's mind that when Prabhupada leaves, he's already sick, he's going to Vrindavan. Prabhupada always used to tell, I want to die in Vrindavan. What will happen is still not, mission is uncompleted. So the disciples don't know what to do. They were thinking, should we get Prabhupada's god brother or somebody temporarily to oversee in case worst thing happened like that. Then Prabhupada was crying deep and he said, my spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. Don't even thinking of getting anybody because if somebody preaches different to my preaching, the entire movement will go. Don't worry, I am leaving here my spiritual master and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They will take care of you. Have a strong faith. Don't be worried. Like Prabhupada instructs them that even if I don't return back, you should continue with whatever I'm teaching. I've done. That's more than enough. Then Prabhupada is from San Francisco. He's going to take a flight to New York. From New York, Prabhupada would fly to India. So there are devotees feeling separation, and Janaki Mataji mischievously took Prabhupada's passport and said, no, you can't go. Prabhupada jokingly said, anyhow, my check-in is done. No, I'm Indian. Anyhow, they allow me in Indian country if I go without passport also. Like that, Prabhupada was joking. And devotees were in tears. They are sending off, crying. Prabhupada hugging everyone and giving his console, saying that, continue with my mission. And like that, then Prabhupada arrived at New York. Then the Prabhupada has been sent off from there. And meanwhile, Prabhupada sends a telegram to India in Delhi where he's going to stay. Then he starts his journey to India. That's a recap of the last chapter. So the 22nd chapter is India Revisited. This is where Prabhupada we see. We're going to see that Prabhupada is staying in Chikiwada place in Delhi. This was the earlier place he was staying. and also he will, from Delhi he would move to Radha Damodar temple and he gives the first initiation to Kirtananda Swami. Then Prabhupada had two aims in this visit. One is that he wanted to print Gita Upanishad because there was some conversation going on with Macmillan, but nothing is getting finalized. He was anxious. Should I print it again in Delhi, then come to West? Then also his permanent residency visa is in problem. So he was trying to approach various people to get a permanent residency. These are the two short-term goals had Prabhupada. And also he had the dream of American house, which we talked in the previous chapter. So the entire things revolve around these three or four topics in the chapter 27. So Prabhupada has, along with Kirtananda, traveled from San Francisco to London because he wanted to have a break journey. So when he reached July 24th to London, so he was supposed to change a flight via Moscow to Delhi. So then he was about to board, then they found that it was delayed. Reason because there was some passenger who has been diagnosed with some diseases, so they had to fumigate the entire aeroplane. So Prabhupada stayed in the hotel in London. Then he was writing to a letter to Brahmananda. So then there was a B.K. Nehru, who was ambassador of India, who had been introduced to Prabhupada in the US. And he told Brahmananda he should talk to him and he give the gift of one Srimad Bhagavatam and request Prabhupada for a long-term visa, permanent visa in America. So then he wrote various instructions and feeling the separation of the devotees, Prabhupada gives the instruction in his very amazing instruction. So let me read in the quote. Please keep steady. Follow all my instructions scrupulously. Chant Hare Krishna and Krishna will give you all strength. So this is an instruction not only for his disciple. Time and again Prabhupada mentions that one should very seriously take his instruction of chanting 16 rounds, following four regulative principles, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam scrupulously. He said when you sincerely follow, then Krishna sees the sincerity and he will give the strength. So after writing the letter, next he stops over briefly at Moscow and changes his flight and he arrives at Delhi airport in the midnight. So there is a strange thing, like whenever Prabhupada goes to airport, there are so many devotees who would accompany him, or so many devotees who would do kirtan. But Delhi was different. There is no followers because nobody is there. So Prabhupada alone, along with Kirtananda, taking out his bag. There is no followers. Then there are many people who have come to receive their family members, but Prabhupada did not add anyone. So he quietly walked to the taxi. Then he asked the driver. He told he want to go to Chippiwara. Uh, to give a brief background, you can see this temple. This is Sri Sri Radha Vallabha temple. During early 60s, 63, 65, Prabhupada used to stay here. This is the temple. It is detailedly described in chapter 10. This is the place first Prabhupada wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. Even though he was staying in Vrindavan, that's the time he was trying to move from Vamshi Mogan temple to Radha Damodar temple. There was a lot of inspiration for him, but he stayed here in this temple and he wrote first kind of Srimad Bhagavatam and he worked here with a lot of people, printing press and Delhi to make it happen. So let me read this wonderful passage so that you understand how Prabhupada is feeling, remembering his golden days or the 2 years back what he was doing it. And the quote, as the taxi drove through the old Delhi and approached the Chowri Bazaar, Prabhupada saw the printing and paper shops, now closed for the night, and the usual dense traffic of human hauled carts was now absent, though some laborers were sleeping in their carts till the morning, when they would bathe in an outdoor well and begin another day's hauling. When Srila Prabhupada had been overseeing the publishing of his first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam, he had daily walked these streets, buying paper, picking up proofs from the printer, returning with the corrected proofs his first canto had been from. So this is the place Prabhupada remembering on the streets where he would walk to OK Press because Radha Press was initially where Prabhupada was tied up, but later they found that they can't print more than 10 font size. Then there was OK Press. Prabhupada used to pick up the paper. He used to write most of this Srimad Bhagavatam first canto he wrote in this temple Chippiwara. So you can see in the picture left hand side corner, Sri Krishna Sarma, who is the secretary to this novel Prem Shaba, who has been introduced by the Radha press, the person who was introduced to Sri Krishna Sarma, saying he's a very good gentleman. He is running a big Sabha, Hindu Sabha. You can approach him. That's why Prabhupada approached him to get into this Radha Vallabha Chittiwada temple. Then they kindly obliged. The second photo, you can see the narrow line. This is very, very narrow line, and the roofs who touch each other. Prabhupada was staying in the first or second floor above the temple rooftop, and it's amazing. During these times, you can see the deities of Sri Radha Vallabha, which was established in 1800. Now there is Prabhupada had many some people used to assist him. One of them is Srikant Vedi. Uh, his grandmother's temple is this Sri Radha Vallabha. So the family was staying here, serving Sri Radha Vallabha and helping Srila Prabhupada. So I would read and quote amazing explanation he gives the experience. We used to go walking to the printer as we had no money. During those days, the ride used to be 1 penny, but we had no funds, and then we used to return back the room and do the corrections. This is how his books got printed. We kept the price of the book rupees 100 initially, but no one purchased it, and it was become no one understood it, and this was because no one understood English. Then Prabhupada gave it away for free, but no one took it still. Then he dropped the prices to rupees 58, then to 51, then to 21, but no one took it. We used to stand in the jalebi stall near the hospital. So he was 14 years that time, and Prabhupada was staying here along with sister. They used to help Prabhupada. So he's telling how Prabhupada struggled to walk every day to correct reading. Sometimes he would carry the papers personally because it cost 1 penny to drive, I mean, to take a rickshaw. So he would walk, and how Prabhupada was struggling to print his first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a little background. So Prabhupada is remembering all those stuff. So let us continue when they arrive here, what happens. So from the sorry, when he Prabhupada arrives to that the narrow lanes of this place, the taxi driver asks for money. Prabhupada pulls out the 40 rupees note, and Satswarup Goswami Maharaj writes the same 40 rupees which was carried on Jaladuta in 1965. So Prabhupada took out the same money and handed over to him. But unfortunately, Prabhupada started arguing with the taxi driver in sense he was asking more. He took entire 40 and he never gave a change. But Prabhupada was arguing the fare is not that much. But Prabhupada finally gave up, saying that it was midnight, nobody's there. Then Prabhupada told Kirtananda, he cheated me. He took all the 40, but it is not the price. So then they took the luggage, they walked, they have to walk because there was a lot of barricade, narrow lane, the taxi couldn't go. They came to this temple at midnight and they were started calling Sri Krishna Sarma. It was locked out, but Prabhupada was calling up. Sometime the Krishna Sarma came and gave the keys to him. So here the description on quote I would like to read from Prabhupada Lilamritha. What was the first reaction of Kirtananda Swami when he looked at the room? The room was bare and dusty, and the bulb hanging from the ceiling created a stark light and shadows. On the floor was their 3 foot high cement dome, indicating that directly below were the altar and the deities of Radha Krishna. The dome prevented anyone from accidentally committing the offense of walking directly above the deities. The closet was stacked with printed Srimad Bhagavatam pages, Srimad Bhagavatam dust jackets, and from letters to prospective members of the League of Devotees. Everything was just as Prabhupada had left it. And Prabhupada is showing his disciple. This is the room where I compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. I slept here. This is where my cooker was. This was the typewriter. I would sleep and type, cook, sleep, and type. Kirtananda was shocked to think of Swamiji living here in such a poor, humble place. Prabhupada was always Krishna conscious. It doesn't matter, irrespective of whether he was staying in the US or where it's Vrindavan or any other place. He was always, always Krishna conscious. He accommodated everything. He tolerated everything. So Kirtananda appreciated Prabhupada's commitment to spread this movement. He was amazed by this wonderful thing, what's happening. So then Prabhupada, as soon as he arrived, he got a high temperature. It was 104, As soon as he arrived, there were two. Also, Prabhupada asked Sharma to arrange for an Ayurvedic doctor. They said it's all right, and Prabhupada is very. I mean, he will recover. Then they gave some Churna, but that did not work. Prabhupada's temperature gone to 104, and nothing was working out. But Kirtananda thoughtfully brought some penicillin with him. When he brought some sick doctor who was practicing Western medicine, then the injection was given to Prabhupada. Then he felt a little relief. So this was going on. There are many acquaintances previously 2 years back when Prabhupada left to America. They all came to visit Prabhupada because Prabhupada used to do a lecture here. He used to visit to many people when he was staying here writing Srimad Bhagavatam. The routine was he would get up at 3, he'll chant till 7, then he would typewrite for 2, 3 hours, then 11 o'clock he'll go out to get some boga to cook, and he would take one meal, then take some rest. Again, he would start his activity. Evening, he would go and preach. Sometimes he would do RT do for the deities. So there are a lot of acquaintance who would come. They're all elderly people. Sharma used to organize a program. He told many a times, Sharma, that you organize bigger program because these are old people. I can't do much. But so those acquaintances come, they were asking Prabhupada to come, and Prabhupada told, I can't come, I'm not unwell. Instead of, you can take Kirtananda. So Kirtananda attended few couple of programs. He gave a kirtan, then he showed his records and all to Sharma, how Prabhupada was successful in Western world. Then Prabhupada just stayed for a week. Then he was thinking that he was getting better. Then he said he will go to Delhi. After 6 days in Delhi, Prabhupada went to Vrindavan. So meanwhile, Kirtananda was writing back to his New York temple. Initially, first day when they arrived, Prabhupada had 104. He wrote them to request them for prayers. Then once Prabhupada improved, and he said, Prabhupada is feeling better. We are in Vrindavan. But Vrindavan was really, really hard. It was, you know, it's really hard, and he could not able to step out, and he had the area Kirtananda, he could not able to tolerate. Fan was on, room was locked, and he could not barely he can do any seva for Prabhupada because he was so hard that Kirtananda said. But Prabhupada is recovering. Prabhupada wanted this kind of heat. Actually, one time it rains and the heat breaks out. But he says it is good for me, not for Prabhupada, because Prabhupada, he wanted heat so that he can recoup himself. And so he shares his experience of Vrindavan, how he sees the deities, various people, and things like that. Then Prabhupada writes, constantly writes to his disciples. This is a wonderful statement he writes. I cannot stop my Western world activities, and I have taken leave from you only for 6 months. And it may be that on or before I will come to you again. Kirtananda says, from my bodily feature that I'm improving, I'm also feeling like that. So Prabhupada writes his separation to all his disciples and keep continuing recruiting at Vrindavan. So there is amazing I want to like to narrate. This is the war against Maya. Prabhupada is declaring war against Maya. So the disciple Brahmananda had a question. Prabhupada, why you are getting, you are a pure devotee, why you are getting suffering? Why you've been attacked by Maya? Why you have all this illness you are having it? Then Prabhupada said, even for materialistic as well as beginners, nearby devotee, Maya attacks. But Brahmananda said, you are a pure devotee, you are advanced devotee, why still Maya is attacking you? Then Prabhupada wrote on August 14th. I would like to read as Prabhupada writes in the letter. Don't be afraid of my being attacked by Maya. When there is a fight between two belligerent parties, it is always expected that there will be sometimes be reverses. Your country and the Western world is mostly under the grip of Maya and the modes of nature in passion and ignorance. And my declaration of war against the Maya is certainly a great battle. Maya saw me very successful within 1 year, so that I got so many sincere young followers like yourself and others. So it was a great defeat to the activities of Maya. Western country youngsters give up illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling is certainly a great reverse in the activities of Maya. Therefore, she took advantage of my old age, weakness, and gave me a death dash. But Krishna saved me. Therefore, we should thank more Krishna than Eluges Maya. So far as my present health is concerned, I think I'm improving. So this is as soon as Prabhupada feels better, he was thinking going back to New York. Even after first day he's landed in Delhi, he's still 104 temperature is little better. He said, I want to go to Vrindavan. Then Vrindavan is regrouping and he's thinking of going back again, battling. So I think I am taking lunch better than New York, so as soon as I'm little fit to return to the field of battle, I shall again be in your midst. So Prabhupada always in the mode of a warrior fighting against Maya, declaring war against Maya, showing an example. He wants to die on the battlefield, which he did. So this is a great inspiration for all of us, how Prabhupada has taken his preaching mission, whatever capacity we have, we should come out of our comfort zone and try to do that. So the other episode, another topic in this chapter was discussed was about the Ban Maharaj. So Prabhupada had this dream of American house, which we envisioned right last chapter, where Prabhupada wants to establish a place in Vrindavan so that people come and study scripture and go back, even Prabhupada is not there. So the only thing he knew is that His Holiness Ban Maharaj is a senior god brother who has been to London, other places preaching, and he came and established in Vrindavan his own uh, his own school, which is called Study Vaishnava Literature in Vrindavan. I don't know the name, but it was affiliated to Agra University. Initially, it was not successful, not much money. Then he tied up with the Agra University and tried to somehow run this a normal school, uh, so that other, you can also earn money for their livelihood like that. So Prabhupada had went with Kirtananda, initially spoke to him, and Banu Maharaj said, I'm okay to even freely teach them. But Prabhupada was insisting he should give a place where they can stay and do it. But Kirtananda initially did not had a good opinion about this place because it's very bare necessity and it takes a lot of austere. And meanwhile, Prabhupada was writing to letter to his god brothers to come and visit, sorry, his disciples to come and stay in Vrindavan for some time so that he can explain about the Vrindavan. And it's very easy to progress in Krishna consciousness. One day stay in Vrindavan is equivalent to, he says many days in America, you try to progress. Banu Maharaj was favorable, but he did not commit on the people to accommodate. But he said they can take a degree from here, and I can help them for that. So this kind of conversation happening. Later, Achyutananda comes. Achyutananda Prabhupada takes, but there are a lot of austerity. But both of them finally they decide that this is not working out. Prabhupada said you can even stay in Vrindavan, take a cycle. You can go to the college and come back and stay here in Radha Damodar temple. That's the finally they've agreed, but not many have pursued. After some time, there are few people probably would have gone. So this American house was dwindled. Prabhupada did not pursue after that. So a couple of times he made a visit to his Ban Maharaj, and he was trying to discuss. So another chapter in this sorry, another episode in this chapter is that Prabhupada gives sannyasa initiation to Kirtananda Swami. On Janmashtami Day, August 20th, Prabhupada gave a sannyasa in Radha Damodar temple. There are many other Vrajavasis and the people, they congratulated him. Then, meanwhile, Achyutananda is Swami now, but yeah, he also came to serve Prabhupada, and he also wants to study in Vrindavan with the Ban Maharaj Institute. So both of them serving here. So they were trying to observe because the first time they come to India and Vrindavan, they're trying to observe the Pandit who is been the Pujari who's been serving Radha Damodar, his son, various other Babaji, sannyasis. But they distinctly understood that nobody only is like Prabhupada. So in Vrindavan, so in the land where everyone has Indian and everyone was a devotee, Samaji was still unique. No one else was so simple, so brave, so able to penetrate through falsity, so attractive to the heart. So Prabhupada was absolutely, different from any other people. They knew that only Prabhupada could save. Even though Vrindavan, there are so many people, they are not like that. And they appreciated for Prabhupada's uniqueness, and they were trying to serve. Again, there he was getting dysentery, both of them. It was so hard to manage for them. They going around the temple and Vrindavan trying to learn things like that. So this chapter like goes between Chippiwada as well as the Vrindavan Radha Damodar temple. So you can see that here how austere it was in Chippiwada temple, where Professor Goswami Maharaj writes that there barely water would come to us in a day. That's all water will come. You have to store it. That too very slow, trickling water would come. They can fill it with 2 clay jugs and something for taking his bath. That's all he had. And the mongoose would run freely in the building. Then Achyutananda used to ask, what is the mongoose eat? They eat snake or what? And Prabhupada used to laugh and explain. And Prabhupada never used to bother about all those external things. And he continued to pursue his preaching, talking to the people on the books, how to sell them, how to print his Gita. Gita Upanishad, he was trying to contact American disciple to print this Macmillan. He wants to confirm what to do. So then Prabhupada was been taken to a place. Then Sharma had taken, as usually, organized a big Pandal program. Not Pandal program, he invited for one of the Hindu gathering where Prabhupada has to preach. There are a lot of hotpots, Swamijis were sitting, and Kirtananda and other people were asking, who are these Babajis? They said, just sadhu. And they're all Mayavadas talking about various things. So they come to know clearly worshipping of demigods and things like that. But Prabhupada was not affected. And they were asking why Prabhupada has to go to such places to preach. Then we realized that Prabhupada had come to even to New York, the Lower East Side, to deliver so many people. So Prabhupada would never, doesn't matter where he has to preach. Any hotspot place also Prabhupada would go and do it. So meanwhile, what's happening is Prabhupada, 2 years left this building. So actually, this is the place, Chittiwada is a place where Prabhupada, I think first passport, he put his official address to when he went to America, and he was trying to get this place desperately for ISKCON. So he had his secretary called Chandrasekhar, and he requested him to take care of this property, his room and belongings. So he used to have his mailbox. There are a lot of devotees used to send BTG magazine subscription, a lot of money. But this person was stealing all of them for last 2 years. And many letters would have come saying that enclosed is the money. And Prabhupada asked Chandrasekhar, where is the key? Where is my mailbox? The last 2 years there has been so much money, approximately 2,000 rupees. I don't see a single penny. Where is it all? Then he said, no, I don't have the keys. Probably can ask Sharma and things like that. So he was lying. Prabhupada knew that he's been using all this for drinking purpose. And Prabhupada wanted to convert it, exchange his currency. One time he went to Bank of Baroda with his disciple. They looked at the strange Swamiji. This doorkeeper did not even allow him to go, the security guard. Prabhupada got wild and he called his manager, then went inside and complained. So Prabhupada had such a precarious situation where there was no one was recognized him in India, and people were stealing. And some of the playing record, brought some instrument that also been Chandrasekhar stole. So like that, Prabhupada is very austere, living in this room. People are not cooperative, but still Prabhupada was hoping for the best. Then Prabhupada was now he wants to determine, he wants to do either print book here or Macmillan should print. So he wrote a letter to Brahmananda asking, it has been since 2 years I've come to America, but I have not printed any volume. Prabhupada has printed 3 volumes in this Tipiwada temple, especially first canto, and Radha Damodar temple, and from here he wrote another 2 cantos. Then Prabhupada was telling, for sure, it's a great effort for me. Not a single volume is published. Please go and consult. Otherwise, you send all the manuscript to me to Delhi, this address. I will take it. So Prabhupada had previously used this Hanuman Prasad Podar, who was a Gita press, who generously donated to Prabhupada. And Itcharan Sharma, who is the running this Radha press, initially was helping with Back to Godhead, because they had only the smaller version of printing press. They referred to OK Press. Itan Sharma is one of the person who supported Prabhupada for initially Radha Press, who supported long time. And with Seth Dalmia is one of the interlistists. Prabhupada knew again, he contacted all of them. He said, I want to this time print Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada was pushing hard, he's disabled, and he wants to print it here while he was in India. He wants to make sure that before he returns to America, he quickly prints the Bhagavad Gita and goes back. And Prabhupada writes wonderful letter to his disciple. It's heart-touching. My mind is always with you. Particularly, your country is my home now. India is a foreign country for me. The reason is that my spiritual family is there and my material relationships are in India. Therefore, factually, where my spiritual family exists, there is my home. It's a Vasudeva Kutumbakam consciousness of Prabhupada. He says, my material relationship here, there are so many people, friends, and my family is there, but I don't feel attached to them. It is feel like a foreign. Your country is my home now because you are all my spiritual relationship. Prabhupada envisioned this Vasudeva Kutumbakam. It's amazing. Then after that, Prabhupada was invited by his godbrother to West Bengal, and Prabhupada wanted to spend some time in his Vyasa Puja, and Prabhupada accepted greatly. So Prabhupada would be traveling, and the next chapter we will see most of them this episode in the Calcutta, what's happening in with various activities for Prabhupada and how he is trying to get his visa and stuff like that. So this is the letter Prabhupada wrote before leaving from to Calcutta. On October 9, the day Prabhupada started for Calcutta, he left behind a different kind of letter to Krishna Pandit. Prabhupada had been negotiating with Krishna Pandit to purchase a Chippiwada temple for ISKCON or at least to the rent the single room through formal contract. Prabhupada wanted a room as Delhi as headquarters for printing his books. On the day of his departure, however, Sri Krishna Pandit was unavailable and Prabhupada left him a short handwritten note. If you are not settling anything with the room, then I may not come back to Delhi anymore. I will go to USA directly from Calcutta via the Pacific route for which Sri Dalmia Seth has already promised for the ticket. So Prabhupada, how desperate he wants to establish his headquarters, Delhi headquarters, and he wants to get this Tippiwada temple. So Prabhupada's intention. So till he was there in the planet, planet India, I mean this planet, this did not happen. Prabhupada could not able to acquire this, but he was telling his disciple later to acquire them. So in the after 2-3 decades of trying it out, 2011, this was registered under ISKCON name. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and other people have acquired this place. Now it has been under the management of ISKCON. You can see this Prabhupada playing harmonium. This is the place they kept a huge museum where Prabhupada used whatever old Srimad Bhagavatam, the first kind of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he is printed. All those things are available. And you can see this old famous Jalebi Wala. This is the place where Prabhupada used to stand and sell his books. And sometimes Prabhupada also used to take some jalebi from here and take it. And you can see the Radha Press. It was originally where helping the BTG, but he referred actually this Dharma, the Radha Press. He referred that the Prashad Dharma, and through his lot of contacts, he helped the Prabhupada to print his books. And he also contacted the OK Press, and finally the OK Press, which printed the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada has written a wonderful appreciation in the temple guest book. So let me read his own handwriting, what Prabhupada has written in the temple of this wonderful temple. I am pleased to write herein that I have come to Delhi from my headquarters 1/859 Kishi Ghat, Vrindavan, purely on spiritual mission to propagate the cult of devotional service of the Lord. And I am more pleased to mention herewith that Sriman Sri Krishna Sarma Hari Bhaktanudas. Actually, Prabhupada gave this Hari Bhaktanudas. Prabhupada, he was called Sri Krishna Sarma, but he was serving the Vaishnavas. He was so affectionate to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gave his title Hari Bhaktanudas. Quote, has provided me a suitable room for my literary activities. I am publishing an English fortnightly magazine of the name Back to Godhead. From this place and the novel Prem Shaba, of which Sri Krishna Ji is the honorary secretary, is arranging for my daily lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is to daily lecture in the evening this place. Late Pandit Jyoti Prasad Sarma, father of Sri Krishna Ji, was also known to me. His father also known to Prabhupada. And during his lifetime, Hare Krishna, whenever I used to come to Delhi, late Pandit Jyoti Prasad Ji would provide me with residential place. His good son is also following the footprints of his noble father. As the secretary of Novel Prem Sabha, he is doing a good service and propagating Rama Nama all over the city. So this is the appreciation Prabhupada wrote in the temple. And as I mentioned, late in the 2011, this temple was acquired. Now it is under the maintenance of devotees of ISKCON. That's pretty much I want to cover for today. Probably we can read some of the other chapters which I have not read from Srila Prabhupada. Still we have another 8 minutes. Probably I can include some of the chapters which we have not read. Okay. So I would read this passage, wonderful passage of Vrindavan, what is happening. With the regular medication, massage, rest, and in the heat of Vrindavan, Prabhupada left himself recovering. By mid-September, he declared himself 90% fit to return to United States. He predicted that he would be back there by the end of October. There are a lot of planning happening for the preaching program. Prabhupada told, I will be there by the end of October. So anything on the mid of November you can organize. Because here, meanwhile, even though Prabhupada is here, he was he asked requesting Satsuras of Maharaj to move to Boston and create a temple. There are many other devotees. He asked them to go to Moscow or London. Prabhupada is constantly asking them to do this seva. So he was pursuing them, writing letters to do that. So B.R. Sridhar Maharaj, who invited Srila Prabhupada, whose ashrama was in Navadip, West Bengal, wrote to invite Prabhupada to spend the month of Kartika with him and at the ashrama and join him for his Vyasa Puja celebration. Srila Prabhupada liked the idea of going to the holy land of Navadipa, where Lord Chaitanya had spent early years. So then Achyutananda had a question: should I come with you or should I study in Ban Maharaj ashram, Sanskrit? Then he said, why don't you want to see birthplace of Chaitanya? Then Achyutananda and Prabhupada, Kirtana Swami, they all left Vrindavan together like that. So, so Prabhupada talking about the mongoose. He was talking about the mongoose was really moving, and Prabhupada was just explaining to his disciples. And one time, wonderful things happened when Kirtananda, after his sannyas, he left, but Achyutananda was there. Then Prabhupada sent to this Jilebi Wala near to that I was talking about, this shop, and a few other sweet shop. He said, go and look for the various varieties of namkeen and sweets. Then you understand what are the varieties available. If you want, you can buy and eat. Prabhupada sends him. But Achyutananda comes here, he's already having dehydration, he so much heat, he did not have any appetite to eat anything, but he saw the wonderful preparation and came. Then Prabhupada was explaining to him, see this variation in Krishna conscious means it's not monotonous. There are a lot of variegatedness. So there are so many preparation we can do for Krishna. So that's what I want to try to convey. Prabhupada was trying to teach wonderfully his disciples how Krishna conscious is uh, how Krishna conscious is varieties. Then Prabhupada is to there are several young musicians put loud music. Prabhupada was never bothered. He tolerated it. Um, so this is the place, the Gauri Shankara temple is where near the place where he organized along with Achyutananda. Prabhupada goes for a program. This was a hodgepodge place where there was worshipping the other devatas. So there are other people. So this is the place Achyutananda asked Prabhupada, why are you preaching in this place? And Prabhupada, he knows that Prabhupada, wherever there is opportunity, you want to preach. Uh, so Prabhupada also explained to his disciple, in case he get confused with all the devatas, then he says, see that all the demigods, they're having different weapons, but you see Krishna is playing flute. For the demigod, someone is holding bow and arrow, someone is holding clubs, someone is holding weapons, but Radha and Krishna are just dancing. Krishna is holding flute, so he is the supreme Lord. So he's trying time and again, he explains how Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he explains Achyutananda carefully. Um, so like that. So that's the episode where Prabhupada is still preaching in the Chippiwada temple, and this place is actually from that place you can see the huge domes of Jamma Mosque. That is one of the famous landmark here. Prabhupada from his veranda outside room you can see all those things. So it's a wonderful place. Um, so then Prabhupada used to talk to his friends, neighbors, like that. So this is the episode where his Chandrasekhar is stealing all his money. It is very heart touching to see that. So let me read that. Chandrasekhar had known for Prabhupada several years when supposed to have his secretary, but he was drunkard. Prabhupada suspected him having stolen from his mailbox more than 2,000 rupees during his past 2 years. Prabhupada's Chippiwada address was listed in his magazine and books, and people had been sending money for the books and back to God at subscription. Why Prabhupada wanted to have it? That time this is the only address he had. Calcutta address, of course, he had, but I think next passport he has given that. But predominantly he was giving this address for his all communication official purpose where money is to come. past 2 months, even in the past 2 months, Prabhupada disciple had written that they were enclosing money in their letters, but Prabhupada never found any. One day he caught sight of Chandrasekhar in the building and asked him, "Where is the mailbox key?" And he replied, "I believe you have it." Chandrasekhar replied, "Oh, maybe Sri Krishna Pandit has." Chandrasekhar was drunk. Swamiji Achyutananda said angrily, "Maybe we should make a police case." Prabhupada shook his head, "No." Well, Achyutananda said, "If he is not punished by the law, in the next birth, Krishna will punish him." Then Prabhupada said, "It is true. There is only thing we can do is we can hand over to police." But Prabhupada said, "No, I forgive him." Yet only a few days later, Prabhupada's record player disappeared. So there is a record player Prabhupada showing to everyone his album, which he created in US, and he was showing to this, and this guy has stolen that as well. So this is the episode where Bank of Baroda he goes Prabhupada, and he was not recognized as sadhu. I am regarded as a beggar. He was, there are so much humiliation Prabhupada has to face. So with this, I would stop here. It is 8 o'clock. So like that, we have seen this episode. So then the next episode, Prabhupada would go from here to Calcutta. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavata Pranam. Thank you very much for the heartfelt narration of this chapter. Yeah, it was that point very nicely brought out how Prabhupada has compared his temporary setback as a war against Maya, how Maya attacks, and how he had compared it to two warriors fighting in a battlefield. Very apt, and you had rightfully highlighted that point very well. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Devotees can unmute themselves to if they have any questions or if they want to share any reflections on this chapter. There is one question in the chat window, Prabhu. Can you please, are all these events in 1967 or 1968?
I think it's 69. See, 63, 65 till Prabhupada was here, and he went to America for 2 years. So 67, 68, 66, 67 should have been in maybe around that time, 68 or 69, I don't know, either of these 2 years.
Because that year is not given, only the month and the date they have given in the book.
This is, see, Prabhupada up to 65 he was here, then after that 2 years he was in America and he was back after 2 years. So 65, 67, 68, it should be around that 68 or 69.
Okay.
Either of these 2 years.
Imagine the difficulties he has faced.
It's wonderful to see how Prabhupada has struggled so much in these places. For even 1 penny to spend, he used to walk, and he used to do a proofread himself, buy papers, whatever money he had, and so much struggle Srimad Bhagavatam he has written. So we should take it to our heart, and such a valuable thing Prabhupada has put in hard labor. There is no way we can repay him. At least we can gratefully, read those Srimad Bhagavatam on daily basis. So gratitude. This is one takeaway from me today. Anything which we want to practically apply for this hard labor, what Prabhupada has done is this is such a valuable, precious gem Prabhupada has given. I think we all should try read every day. That's only gratitude we can show to Prabhupada.
When he has done at the right age, I think we feel we are still very young. We can do it. Yes, Prabhu. Dandavata Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji, I think we can conclude. Thank you again for your time in the presentation. It was very visual, and we could relate to the events as you were speaking. And also glad to know, I forgot that ISKCON Delhi had taken over that legal position of that place in Chippiwada.
There is a big museum is there, not big museum, what of Prabhupada used, typewriter and those things. I also even longing to go and see those places.
Yeah, we have to
So
go and see.
sometime, these are the holy places for us.
Yeah, thank you. I think we can conclude, Prabhu. Thank you again for your time. Hare Krishna. We'll end with Vaishnav pranams.
Vancha
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।